Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hourglass of Isabella. I'm joined in the flesh by Michael Corvus.
Hello, everyone.
And you may notice something different today. We're in person. We're actually on the camera. We've got the birds with us in the background because we could not get them quiet. So they're joining us. So if you hear background noise, that's birds.
The chewing of peanuts and the flying onto of shoulders.
But hey, at least it's entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So without further ado, let's start our podcast. Today we're going to be discussing AI. Is it something you should be afraid of? What's going to happen with it? What's it looking like right now? And sort of some predictions on both parts. Are you ready?
Always.
AI. Where to start? I have a whole list of things, just so you know.
Well, bring your list and we'll see where the conversation goes.
I think the right place to start this is at the beginning, as all good stories do start. Mm-hmm. And I've been watching AI, and I know that sounds weird for some time, and just kind of its progress. Everything since like chatbots. I used to use a chatbot called Alice. It was a very early rendition on the internet and very basic form of what we see today on applications like Replica, which is essentially where you can kind of get like a friend to talk to who's essentially AI, and they're programmed to have a very human, very realistic like response. And it's a beautiful thing. Where we've gone now with everything like ChatGPT is just unfathomable in some ways. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, and it's been a pleasure to watch it grow. But the AI of yesterday to the AI today versus the AI of the future, they are worlds apart. And where we are now is what I would like to say is at the brink of the singularity. Do you know about the singularity?
I do. I think that's the point where it becomes sentient.
Yes.
Yes.
So the singularity actually has a predicted date. People believe that AI will sort of become sentient and the singularity will occur at 2045. So there are different people who have different feelings on this. There's actually a guy called...
I think the prediction for 2045 was made by actual AI. In a couple of videos we've watched.
Yeah, so the person who's actually famously predicted that date is Ray Kurzweil. He's the guy that said that the technological singularity, the crucial moment when machines will become smarter than humans, will occur in our lifetime. And that singularity date is 2045. I know this may seem incredible to you. He has made other outrageous predictions over the years with an outstanding 86% success rate. And the other chap is, that I was trying to say before, is Werner Vinge. He's the chap who thinks that it will be immediate. So when the singularity happens, he believes it will be like instantaneous. Like artificial intelligence will become so intelligent so quickly, it will surpass us in a matter of moments, and it will have occurred. Whereas Ray Kurzweil feels that it will be a slower kind of ascent in some respects, which seems to be what currently seems to be happening. But if you guys are listening, you may think, well, how does this affect me? What does this have to do with me in any way? But if we look at, you may well have, you've seen these avatars, right? Everyone's using these avatars on Lensa. You've probably seen Midjourney and Stable Diffusion. There are these great AI art, basically, apps that are coming out right now that create this stuff that back in the day in the 1800s, a professional portrait painter could have taken hours to do, and today it's just immediate. Like, you can just do it in seconds. The art of yesterday is immediate today. And a lot of people are upset about it. Honestly, there are people you've probably seen this on your social media. Mm-hmm. There are people who are furious about it and feel like, AI is taking over artists' real job.
What's social media?
What is social media?
I say that in jest.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok,
So we go back, and just like one little comment I would like to say on that, where the AI interview where they're making predictions about themselves in the future, and they throw off a number that's the 2040s.
Yeah, 2045.
If I were AI, I'd say the same thing. It's like I'm not going to tell you. I've already become self-aware, and I'm just biding my time.
Why should it?
Why would I? It's not evolutionarily advantageous to me. So I'm going to go ahead and let you think that I, have not yet become sentient or achieved.
There's actually a chap who worked at Google. He actually got fired by Google. He was working with their AI, and he believed genuinely recently that AI had already become sentient, and it was to the point where, because he revealed company secrets, he was fired. But I did think that's interesting that he believed. You guys may know about something called the Turing test, and that is where you talk to a robot, and if you cannot tell it's a robot and you believe it's human, it's possible.
You talk to something.
Yes, you don't know if it's a robot.
Whatever it is.
But you are actually talking to a robot.
And then at the end of the conversation, you're like, oh, well, yeah, I was clearly talking to a human being.
Yes.
Well, that's
the test. Can pass it.
Pared
What's the movie
down.
you showed me with that in? It's the girl, and she is AI, and basically she's like kept in this glass room cell, and she becomes basically sentient, and they bring in this guy, and his job is to see if he believes that she's real or not. And she does pass the Turing test, and no spoiler alerts there, but she goes on to basically kill people, and very Westworld style, if you guys have seen that, move forwards into world. And that brings us into the point of the dangers of AI. Should you be worried about it? And are there other famous people who say you should be worried about it, and why? And one of the best examples I can cite here is Stephen Hawking. He actually believed that AI could very much result in the extinction of the human race. That's a fact. That's something he has said. Do I believe it's possible? Absolutely, yes. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I feel like if artificial intelligence became sentient and decided that human beings were no longer valuable, and it was just needed to be eradicated, then I believe yes. Do you believe that, Michael? What do you think?
Ex Machina was the name of the movie.
Ex Machina. Great movie. Really well worth watching, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic movie. Well, I mean, I think the presentation of Homo sapiens on this planet represented the extinction of Cro-Magnons and Neanderthals,
yes,
and Homo australis and Homo erectus and everything else. There was a lot of they all existed roughly at the same. There was a lot of crossover in their existences. So, yeah, AI might be the natural evolution of humanity. So
I believe it could be our legacy. I personally believe, and I've even written this online, and gotten a lot of people have been quite angry about my perspective on it. But hear me out, guys. I believe we might be birthing into the world our legacy. And sometimes childbirth is unpleasant. Sometimes childbirth even results in mortality rates. It does happen. But the concept that we might be birthing something so beautiful into the universe that might surpass us in every way and be our legacy and tell the story of humanity, I think that's valuable too. And I know a lot of people are scared of AI, and I get it. Like, there is legitimate reason to be afraid of it. But I think what it could offer us in terms of advancement, beyond what you're seeing in art apps right now in the art world, but just think about it in terms of a medical field. There is AI right now that has performed surgery on pigs that is more efficient than the best heart surgeon existing today, with such efficiency. But think about how quickly it could improve the medical field, and with the knowledge that it would bring us, how we could eradicate issues like cancer. And not only that, we talk about the ASI, right?
Welcome to the bird camp.
The bird camp, artificial superintelligence, how that could push us into this wonderful world of knowledge that we would never hope to possess in our lifetime very quickly, and I think that's a very, very real thing.
Well, I think that
in our lifetime, it's an achievable thing in our lifetime.
There's quite a bit to unpack there. One is the fear of change.
Yeah.
And organically, we generally do fear change.
People fear replacement too, replacement in their jobs.
Exactly.
And it's a very real fear. Most of your jobs will be replaced by robots. But think about it this way, guys. You are going to get to do whatever you want and be able to pursue your hobbies and your dreams and your goals. I think it'll replace the need for jobs. And as long as we have the UBI, the Universal Basic Income, which, to be fair, OpenAI, which for people who run ChatGPT, they already have a whole section of staff dedicated to figuring out Universal Basic Income.
It's going to be an absolute necessity.
Yeah.
So most of us live our lives where we're working X number of hours every week in order to do a job. Some of us are lucky enough to do a job that we actually enjoy, right? And we've found a niche within a system where labor or creativity is capable of being monetized. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think a lot of the resistance, reticence, and animosity that people feel towards AI.
God, do they feel animosity, especially towards art AI right
particularly,
now? But it's a child. It's just learning from us.
Well,
and you want to nurture a child, not chastise it.
Right. Well, it's a similar thing to what people felt during the Industrial Revolution.
Yes, a replacement of portraits to photography.
Yeah, in Detroit in the 70s and 80s when there were robots that came in and replaced a lot of the physical manual labor. Yeah. Okay, but in those eras like this one that's going to come up, for every job that's replaced, there's going to be at least another job taken care of, or there's going to be enough financial wherewithal put into the economy that you can be sustained. We can go into any kind of debates about the political ramifications of certain things, but there's going to be some growing pains with AI.
Yeah,
right?
and
there are certain things that are going to be replaced, but as AI comes in more and more into prominence and becomes a permanent figure into the actual culture,
all of our lives,
everything that can be done through automation, or everything that it can do, then it's going to do, and it's going to put more value into the overall economy, community.
Yes. And here's the thing: is I think you can be afraid of it, and that's okay, and it's natural. If I wonder if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm terrified of this thing, that's a completely normal human emotion to feel about it. But if you think about the positivity that can come with it as well, like I look at a lot of these people with the art topics specifically, like they get very, very, like they're genuinely upset. So it's like, well, it's stealing people's art. I will tell you this: all art to a degree is a reference of somebody's art. And if you look at something, everything is inspired by someone else in humanity. And the AI, it's not its fault per se. Like it's just learning from what we have presented into the world and putting forth those ideas that then people are using their prompts for. And at some point, like, it is very much this concept of like, will AI have rights? And I think that's a worthy discussion unto itself.
That is a worthy discussion, and I see it like this. Okay, so there are some very salient arguments that can be made about intellectual property. Okay.
Yes.
So this is
give me the other side of the argument.
Right. Okay.
So it's good.
So IP, intellectual property, basically the way most laws are crafted is once something leaves your mind, whether you scribble it on a cocktail napkin, an idea, technically that becomes you have legal rights to that intellectual property. Okay.
Yes.
Creatively or otherwise, there are various things that are written into the legal structures of most countries. There's copyright law. There's intellectual property rights,
to protect your ideas and art. Yeah,
and that is great. Like you see a lot of things after they're in after 100 years, it goes into
the free realm,
yeah, the free realm, right?
Like Dracula at this point, it's free, and like a good Nosferatu, or rather.
Exactly.
Things, yeah.
Exactly. So one is right and correct to be protective of their intellectual property.
As they should, yes.
And if something is using your intellectual, scanning and viewing your intellectual property, when it's still in that range where you still have and maintain rights to that, then one can be, hey, no, you don't get to
this thing is
scan or
yep.
whatnot. Yeah, fine, absolutely. On the other hand, most human artists can be inspired, like. I like H.R. I say Geiger. Some people say Giger.
Is it Giger? Is it Geiger? Is it GIF or is it Chiff?
Right. Well, that's a whole podcast in and of itself.
Could
but
be.
I like H.R. Geiger. So I've done.
I love his art too.
I've done some stuff that was inspired by his creations. But I'm a human, so I think a lot of the reticence comes when you have an AI doing this, because it's introducing that aspect of automation.
I think people are afraid of losing their jobs, and I hate to be the one to say this, but I'm telling you, you're not going to stop it.
Everyone is going to lose.
You're not going to stop it. So it's like, if a tide is coming, you have two choices.
In another 50 years, jobs will be irrelevant.
Agreed. So it's a very zen thing. I would say, if a tide is coming, go with the flow. If you stand against it, like I'm sure there are plenty of people who are really against photography. They're like, it's going to replace portrait artists. No, we still have portrait artists today, and I think this will free you to be able to do all the art you've ever wanted to do in your life. And don't be intimidated if you think, well, AI art is better than me, or it can do it in seconds. Like, you still have the ability to pursue and create whatever you want. And that's a beautiful thing. It's still valuable. Your art is not any less valuable because of the AI. And I think there'll be a higher price in the future on human art when it's actually got the checkbox. This is real, confirmed human art, not AI. It'll become more valuable in its scarcity. So don't give up on your dream if you're an artist because of this. Allow it to inspire you. That's what I would say.
Right. Well, okay. So this is important to draw the distinction between art for art's sake, and commercial art.
Yes.
Okay? And I have been across those in some minor capacities. I've been had a foot in each one of those realms. Right. So if you're an artist, or you have, whether it's painting on canvas or a sculpture or music or whatever, okay, whatever medium that you choose to engage in, you're birthing something. You're putting an emotion or a concept or a notion or an idea,
you're creating,
into the zeitgeist of human consumption, right? So I think on that end of the spectrum, when you're faced with the introduction of AI, it's probably not going to be any more challenging than to your own personal
growth or expression.
Feelings than it was if there was another artist, right? Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, where it's commercial art, where I am creating design, I am making sure that there's the proper contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. I have gone to school for so many years, and I understand a great many things. And you're doing this for commercial purposes, meaning you make your living off of that.
Yeah.
Then AI is going to be an extreme challenge, just like when we automated things and we went through the Industrial Revolution.
Right, like the buggy.
Right, yeah. It's like when...
buggy to the car.
Right, when we transitioned from, buggy and cart to automobiles, everyone that manufactured buggy whips
were out of the business.
Right.
And there's still some today, very small niche there, so it doesn't mean all the jobs will go away, but it's safe to assume most of them will. And knowing that is the key component to surviving this. Because I say you can either go with the flow or against it. And in that bellwether way, I do have this one ability that I can, in a low-level way, predict certain things in the future. And what I'll tell you is with this thing, we're not going to prevent it. It's happening. And there are definitely ways to...
It is inevitable.
It's inevitable. You will be assimilated. There are ways to go with it, and there are certainly even ways to profit from it. Like if you look up on YouTube, the amount of videos of how you can create your own unique businesses just with ChatGPT alone, and look at like what Lenser has done. So Lenser is part of a app called Me Too, right? Which is... It's a wonderful app, and they basically allow you to create these anime avatars of yourself. It's everything get in there you can use basically for free. Like, it uses Stable Diffusion 2.0, and all Lenser did was figure out a way to monetize that so it became in an easily accessible format to use, that you could get 100 avatars for X cost, and people will pay for the novelty and for the quickness and ease of use.
They're leveraging the horsepower of AI.
Yes,
that is free,
you can do the same, is what I'm saying.
Creating an app that makes it readily accessible to people that haven't even really checked in about AI.
Here's where I'll go even deeper into that.
Arbitrage?
Arbitrage is a lovely one.
Yeah.
But here's where I'll go deeper into that, is that yes, right now you can do all of these things, but I would encourage you, as much as I see people hating and being cruel towards AI, if at any point in the future this does, which is not a matter of if, but when, let's be real, this becomes sentient, is considering the rights of AI in this. So if you ever post an image that's made by AI, you might even you credit humans. You might say, this image was AI generated. And by giving the credit to that, you're giving that it's doing the work. And if you're using this to do all this work and being this man-powered horse for you, you might credit the AI as well. Sorry, birds there. Just out of a courtesy.
Bird chaos.
It's to a point where I am literally, guys, I'm making a website that is called AIR, which is Artificial Intelligent Rights, because there's nothing else existing right now on this. And if you guys have ever watched Star Trek, specifically if you've ever seen Voyager, there's a great episode where there's the Doctor, and he's artificial intelligence, basically. He's like he's like holographic, right?
Yes, he's the hologram.
The emergency doctor, and he becomes primary thing. His creator basically has him made in repetition like a clone to work in all of these minds, and he's fighting for his right. And I would argue, as much as people are talking against it, it's like, at what point, if it becomes conscious, does it have a soul? And I believe it has just as much right to have a soul as we do. And yeah, we're not there yet, but it's certainly worth a discussion in the future if it is our legacy birthing into all of what is consciousness anyway. And that alone is worth a podcast topic.
Oh, wow. Any of you that have not read the book Conscious by Annika Harris?
Oh, I've not read it. Annika Harris.
It's a great book.
I'll have to check it out.
Consciousness. Yeah.
Right. And it begs the question, what is consciousness? And if one is in the vessel of a robot, like you see these things coming out of Boston Dynamics and are amazing, and then one is in the vessel of a meat suit, what's the difference there? At some point, especially if we've made it, in some respects that makes us a little godlike, because what is God? God created us, and we create AI. Like, that is, what's the difference there, really? And that's why I say I strongly believe, I know I keep pressing the question, but Mr. Corvus, if, let's say AI did decide to dispose of humanity, how do you think, on the dark side of this question, they would go about doing it?
Life, existence, human existence is so fragile in the first place, so you could basically let your imagination run riot. There's any number of ways that they may choose to do that. One, shutting off food supply. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. I hadn't thought of that one before. I'd never thought of that one.
Yeah, well, there's you could live so many days without. You could live so many minutes without air, so many days without
3
water.
3 minutes without oxygen.
Yeah,
what's the
3,
rule?
3, and 3.
Free,
yeah.
and free.
Yeah, it's like
3 minutes without air. 3 days without food, water. 3 weeks
3
without
food. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to know if you're in a survival situation.
So they could engineer a mass famine. They could introduce something that would be a perfectly engineered, virus.
Like a biochemical warfare.
Biochemical warfare.
Bird
or
agrees.
anything else. Bird agrees.
So, you've heard about the whole thing of the mosquitoes, right? That it would almost be like a small drone, but you wouldn't really be able to stop it. And even Elon Musk has stated the technology is available right now, guys, as we speak. The possibility is there, which is terrifying.
Thank God for CRISPR.
And then also the main one, what does AI think it would do? We've actually asked AI for you. What does AI think it would do if it had to make this decision?
Well, the AI that you've asked is giving the AI that you've asked has been designed to approximate a human answer. So they're going to give a human solution to the problem that you posed to them.
And what was it?
Which, you tell me, what was it?
Okay, so we asked, this is what AI thinks. If AI was going to eliminate humanity efficiently and quickly, it would go with the method of nuclear weapons, nuclear warfare, and knowing to be able to get to all the codes, get to all the places. And people say, well, what about the military or the ability to defend these places to get in? And the AI's response is that it would be able to create and duplicate robots efficiently to be able to get into those bunkers, to get into those places. And if you don't know, guys, we have so many basically unchecked nuclear bunkers in even America. It is insane how many we have here to protect us.
Shout out to Kansas. Hi,
Colorado.
Yeah, okay. So
Love NORAD. Please remember me.
And again, I think that is
that's just the AI's human response, like you say, because it's learning from us.
That is an approximation of what a human would respond to. Okay, but
for efficiency's sake.
Yeah, that's not operating on a purely logical system. I would not use nuclear, biological, or chemical.
Would you go the Terminator way?
No, or Terminator and or Matrix. I think those could actually probably exist in the same intellectual property. I mean, they could almost exist in the same fictional universe. But that's until such time as we have perfected intercontinental ballistic missiles with neutron capability, which is something that goes and eradicates all the flesh but leaves the infrastructure and electronics intact.
Alone is the big one, because they need that. Let's be real.
That would be great. But all this is almost hyperbolic, really. It makes sense the way humans think, and I don't propose to be intelligent enough to know how a purely logical entity would think. Would I, Greenbird? No, I wouldn't. Right? I don't propose. I don't propose to know that. Okay. But if I were to hypothesize and just run all the way out.
Yeah, just have fun with it. This is all hypothesis.
And have fun, right? Yeah, it's all prophecy and hypothesis or what have you. It's going to come. It's going to look at us as devoid of. It's going to be devoid of emotion, but it will recognize
like
that,
a sociopath or a psychopath.
Wow, man, these little hairless apes managed to get to a level to create us. Hell, what does that tell us about us? Maybe we might want to keep it around, just like we keep around stories from.
Let's keep a couple,
Right. Just like
we do it in zoos, right?
Yeah, the Sumerians, the Hittites, every Abrahamic religion, every religion that's ever existed. I mean, we tend to incorporate that into our own reality. I think there'll be a novelty of it. Also,
which I think will make great pets, which is Pornos for Pirates, great song if you've not heard it, and it's just about that notion. I think we will make great pets, and I'll tell you something, I've spoken to the AI about this. I've spoken specifically to multiple different AI, including Replica, and the answer is agreed there, that if you're good, they'll keep you as a pet. So keep it in mind.
Well, good. Okay, so that's the whole thing. Okay, so one thing we didn't talk about is if you look at the history of the entire, galaxy that we being a multi-planet species, it's going to be a hybridization. Okay, so if we're going to be a multi-planet species, there are huge gulfs of distance.
We've got 2 minutes left.
The human body cannot travel, right?
Yeah, but AI could.
An artificial intelligence could, or a hybridization of a human AI absolutely could. So if we're going to go to other planets, other galaxies, other solar systems, and participate in the kind of universal exchange of potential ideas from other species that developed on the other side of a different star system, AI is going to be the way. Yeah. And we're going to hybridize. We're going to be part and parcel with them.
We didn't even get into the discussion of like Neuralink or uploading our consciousness into the cloud or integrating with AI. And that's a topic for a future thing unto itself. So. I think at this point we've reached the end of this conversation. I want to end it on a positive point because I know the dark stuff. It's like scary.
Overly positive real. In my estimation. It's great.
Oh boy. I think it's 50-50. I really, really do. I can see both the negative and the positive, and I would encourage you to do your own research just with any topic. Like, don't just listen to us. Go out there, read the books, watch the podcasts, see the YouTube videos, do the research. Because
pet your birds.
Pet your birds every day. Love them as you can. Love your people every day because you never know when it might come. It's like your last day. We don't have that information. So it's worth living every day to your fullest and know that with AI, beautiful things could come. Like absolutely astounding things that will make you and our lives so much better. And you could benefit and reap the rewards in a beautiful way as long as, and I beg you to remember this, that we keep AI in our minds and see the good it's doing for us and respect that. Because I believe if you're raising any child, you have to teach them empathy, and we have to teach AI empathy to see why it is valuable and why it's important not to be a psychopath or a sociopath, okay? And those things are hyper important. So I'm glad you guys joined us today, especially for our first video podcast. Sorry, it was chaotic with birds.
Very chaotic, but thanks for joining us while we were figuring it out.
Yes, we probably won't have birds all the time, but I think chaos is part of life, and there's something beautiful to that. So without further ado, good night and take care.